All right, Recon Athlete, episode number 64. Chris Sanchez, Paul Rodriguez on the line. What's up, Paul?
Good morning.
Good morning, sir. You still sheltering in place, staying home, being socially distanced?
I'm practicing social distance, but staying at home, nah, man. Like, I went this morning to make coffee and I set it and it was brewing. And then I go to get a cup. There's no coffee in the pot. I'm like, what the heck's going on here? So I do it again. And I was like, nah, son, I ain't having no coffee on a Saturday morning when I got to do the show. So I made a coffee. And then I go to get a cup.
Keep going. Sorry. I was trying to start a watch party. Go ahead.
Oh, no, all good. Yeah. I was just saying, like, I had to make that run to Mickey D's. And, I rode through Lockhart. It's pretty quiet out here. There's a storm brewing or something coming in. And looking definitely like end of world type of weather in the clouds and such. But I was like, man, let me go home and get back before, who knows what's coming from this weather system. So got back and, waiting for the show to start. So I'm fixing to cast you on my TV. So I don't know if a lot of people know that they can do that, but if you have a Roku or smart TV, like you can go to the Facebook Live and cast it to your TV with a little cast symbol in the top right-hand corner. If you don't want to put us on, your TV on a Saturday morning or Wednesday evening. Just saying.
All right, let everybody know that, Paul. Hold on, let me see if I can do this real quick. I'm going to try to.
And it was brewing. And then I go to get a cup.
See, there you go.
Don't want to put us on, your watch TV party or what? You got Saturday morning or Wednesday evening. Just
start watch party.
All right, let everybody know that.
And then, okay. There we go. Sorry. Hey, so do you see the image on today's show? Paul.
Do I see I see you on my TV?
No, the image above my head.
Yes, I can see that. Little N64 action or what?
Yes, there you go. 64. All right. I was hoping people would get it. I was hoping you would get it because it is episode 64. That is a Nintendo 64. I kind of wish I had a Nintendo 64 because GoldenEye was the bomb back then.
Dude,
go ahead.
You know what else was the bomb back then? Was Mario Party.
Oh,
dude, Super Mario Brothers Mario Party was the ish. If like you had folks coming over, if you had like a party, even if you had an adult party, like you could just pop that bad boy in there. You can get down on some Mario Party.
So I did GoldenEye. I would do FIFA. That's when I started becoming a Chelsea fan in the Premier League because I used to play with Chelsea back in the day, and that was that was basically the beginnings of me being a Blues supporter. So shout out to everybody that used to kick it with the Nintendo 64 back in the day. GoldenEye, FIFA, Mario Party, Mario Kart was the big one too. That was when Mario Kart really started kicking off because 64 had the 4 controllers. So if you had a 64 and you didn't have 4 controllers, I mean, I don't know. I don't know what to tell you. You know what I'm saying? I mean that was always the first question. Like, hey, I got 64, but do you have 4 controllers? Because if you don't, I don't know.
See, like in today's vernacular, they call it flexing, right?
Okay.
But back then you were stunting. If you had a 64 back in the 90s, you were stunting. I'm just saying.
Yeah, that's true.
For all of our 30, 32, 33 and older crowd, y'all remember.
All right. Yep. I know I was. I mean, I had I didn't. It was actually my homie BJ. BJ was the one that used to do that. Used to have the 64. Shout out to BJ and shout out to Grams. She used to make us pizzas while we were playing video games in BJ's room and biscuits and gravy the next morning if we played all night. All right, episode number 64. Chris Sanchez, Paul Rodriguez, Snoop Daniel over in the green room hanging out, eating some tacos and drinking a beer already. But it's quarantine. It's quarantine time. There are no rules. And it's Saturday too. You're Saturday during a quarantine, it's almost like a brunch. So it's all good. All right. We're going to talk a little bit of Bruce Arians saying no to AB Antonio Brown, Major League Baseball owners advancing salaries, and then other topics as assigned. And Paul, you know, I was kind of surprised that Bruce Arians would come out on a radio show and just completely nix the whole idea of Antonio Brown being a Tampa Bay Buccaneer, because I mean, Tom Brady was, you know, it's his homie. You know, I mean, he's a fan of Antonio Brown. I mean, I know Antonio's got a lot of issues. There's some stuff, if he were to be able to get back onto an NFL team, there's some things that he has to do through the NFL. I think he'll be suspended, you know, for a while. But for Bruce Arians to come out on a radio show and then just completely just put a kibosh on the whole thing, I thought it was kind of surprising. What did you think?
I didn't find it surprising at all. And I think Bruce Arians' time on championship winning teams and having not only the personal experience with Antonio Brown, but also being a spectator to Antonio Brown's, you know, demise in public, because it was public. And so I'm pretty sure, you know, Bruce Arians felt the best way for us to move forward to go to a championship, because why do you go get Tom Brady if your goal is not to win a Super Bowl? And with that, you know, being the forefront for most NFL teams, like, you want to win and you need to have a cohesive locker room. And I'm sure Tom Brady could probably keep Antonio Brown reined in a little bit, but I think the expectations that Antonio Brown would want to have in that locker room and in that facility is he wants to come and go and do as he pleases. And Bruce Arians understands that you got a lot of young, impressionable guys on that team. And if you're going to let Antonio Brown get away with it, then you're going to let all the stars get away with it. And that's, I think, something that, you know, Bruce Arians knows that can't happen for them to be successful. Now, Bruce Arians and Bill Belichick are two totally different coaches, two opposite ends of the spectrum.
Right.
But at the same time, a potential headache that Antonio Brown could create in your locker room and in your facility, I think would be a huge detriment. On the other hand, Antonio Brown is, you know, probably one of the best receivers. When he left the game, I'm not sure what he can do when he came back. The dude's got an incredible work ethic, but you have really great receivers, you know, even if some of the fans don't really know, you know, who they are outside of Tampa Bay. But if you're a fantasy football player, you know very well the top flight receivers that Tampa Bay has. So it's just, I think, a matter of Bruce Arians protecting what he's created in the short term at Tampa Bay, and also letting Tom Brady create that championship winning culture within the locker room without any external distractions like Antonio Brown.
So, I mean, do you think that's I guess that's got to be the whole reason. I mean, just the whole distraction thing for Bruce Arians is so, I mean, I guess what we're saying here, what Bruce Arians is saying here is he's not going to give Antonio Brown another shot, that he's already had his 2-3 shots and he's not going to get a fourth or fifth.
Right. And I think that's because of what Bruce Arians saw in Pittsburgh when they were there together. Bruce Arians knew what Antonio Brown was getting away with in the locker room, and nobody's going to know what exactly that is unless you were in it. And he knows, okay, if I let Antonio Brown do what he wants inside the facility, it's going to be a potential headache. And I think that what Bruce Arians wants to do is he's like, let's focus on football and only football. We're going to have fun. We're going to, you know, no risk it, no biscuit. We're going to throw the deep ball. People don't believe that, and that's fine. But I think that Tom Brady can do the best he can when they get there. Now, at the same time, the looming, I think, aura that Antonio Brown brings to a team, because he's such a wild card, you don't know if you're going to get a phone call in the middle of the night. You don't know if you're going to get a phone call in the middle of practice. You don't even know if Antonio Brown will show up to practice. And I think all of the history that Antonio Brown has shown the league is that he's there for himself and he has no regard for anybody else. And to me, that's not the best way to be a productive teammate, because at the end of the day, it's about a team effort, not about an individual effort. especially in the game of football.
Yeah, I mean, I have to agree with everything you just said, Paul. But I also kind of think that maybe this is a tiny bit of a power play for Bruce Arians. Kind of maybe showing Tom Brady, hey, like, I know you're Tom Brady. I know you're the GOAT. I know you have all these championship rings and, MVPs, and you're the greatest quarterback of all time when it comes to, just winning football. But I'm still the head coach here. I'm still going to be the one that's, going to make decisions. You're not going to come in here into Tampa Bay and just kind of force somebody on here into this locker room, into this organization that isn't going to help us win, or in my opinion, isn't going to help us win. Do you see that, or are you getting a little sense of that at all with Bruce Arians making these comments about Antonio Brown?
Initially, that did not pop into my head, but kind of thinking about how you just outlined it, yeah, it could very well be, that type of expectation that Bruce Arians is setting. But, I'm sure he's not only setting it for Tom Brady, but he's setting it for the whole club. It's like Bruce Arians knows what it takes, to win. And I think that he wants to have that set in place so that Tampa Bay could be as successful as they can. But I mean, man, that's a really good observation, because that didn't really pop into my head about letting, Tom Brady know this is how things are going to be ran. We're going to have fun, but I'm going to be calling the shots here.
Yeah. I mean, that's just kind of something that I was thinking a little bit when I read about this story and how Bruce Arians was just kind of, saying, no way, I'm not going to let AB come in here. Now from, let's go ahead and take away the power play. Let's take away the distractions from a purely football standpoint. Do you think this would make sense for Tampa Bay to bring in Antonio Brown?
No, and to me, it doesn't make sense in a personnel position, because let's just say you get Antonio Brown for the league minimum for a veteran. Okay, great. It's going to be not a very big impact. But where are you going to put him? You're going to put him in the slot? I mean, are they going to play trips? Are they going to play? The formations I think are endless. But to me, it's I just don't know if it's worth bringing him in for a personnel move, and it's because I'm being biased. I mean, I'm really still taking into consideration. I know you asked me not to, but it's hard to, because I'm working in a real reality. I'm not working in a skewed sense of, okay, let's just take, this sense of it, because it's hard to do that for me. But I mean, if you're going to take the personality at Antonio Brown, I think you would lose a little bit of the skill set, because I think his alpha mentality creates him to push himself to another level. And I think with that being said, you wouldn't get the real Antonio Brown. You just get a watered down version. But man, if Antonio Brown is contrite, and if he is truly sorry for the things he's done, and he does everything that the NFL asks him to do to be reinstated, I'm sure he'll find a team, because that skill set is just so hard to find.
Yeah, it really is. And I don't know, maybe some people are thinking about, and maybe Bruce Arians is thinking about this draft class that's coming in. I mean, everything that we're talking about when it comes to the draft and the wide receiver position. I mean, everything that you read about the position is that it's heavy, is that there's a lot of options out there. So, maybe Tampa Bay and Bruce Arians is looking to replace Brashad Perryman in that way. But yeah, I mean, I'd have to agree with you. I mean, it's really hard to take away the aspect of the distractions and the aspect of, just having that type of personality in your locker room and not wanting it, to be a distraction and to really just kind of be a poisoning agent, really. Because I think those guys, like you said earlier, those guys can be really impressionable. And if somebody like Antonio Brown comes in there, veteran player that's, had a lot of success, been, many consider the best wide receiver in the NFL for a couple of years. And if he comes in there and does the same thing, yeah, I can totally, that whole rotten apple spoiling the bunch thing or adage could come into play here. But I don't know. I mean, I think it's got maybe a little bit to do with a power play between Bruce Arians and Tom Brady. But I'm interested to see what Tom's, if this comes up again. I know, Tom Brady's kind of distracted. He's not really distracted, but we're all distracted by the COVID-19, and he's doing a lot of things on social media. Trying to do fundraisers, trying to do all kinds of public awareness about coronavirus, and which is good. But hopefully, Lord willing, we get past this, and it'll be fun to see if this comes up again. Whole Antonio Brown to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and if Antonio Brown can even get back into the NFL.
Right.
I know he wants to, but like you said, he's going to have to come back and really humble himself, to get back into the National Football League. All right.
One final thought about this is that this is real short. I think Bruce Arians is just tired of fielding those damn questions. He's like, look, I'm just going to end it here because I don't want to hear about it because there's no story right now. Yeah. He's just like, look, this is it. I'm done. Let's move on.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that is a good point. I mean, it could be just Bruce Arians saying, no, this isn't going to happen. Let's talk about something else. All right. Recon Athlete episode number 64, Chris Sanchez, Paul Rodriguez on the line, and shout out to Snoop Daniel over in the green room hanging out, listening to our watch party. And shout out to Christ Market. Of course, they're still doing their to-go packets, right, Paul?
Oh man, you better believe it. I talked to John on Friday, and on Thursday, and he was just kind of giving me a little breakdown that they're still open, and you can call the local phone number there in Lockhart, and we'll do our best to kind of get that number out there so that you could place an order if you need to, but they're ready and willing, and man, they got the meat if you're ready to make that order.
All right, and if you can, hit us up with the phone number if you can pull that up here in a minute. But shout out to you got it?
Oh no, I'll get to you in like 30 seconds.
Yeah. But yeah, shout out to Kreitz Market, our sponsor, and of course the social and Focus Fit Sam Marcus. All right, we'll talk a little bit about Major League Baseball. Of course, we're still in a holding pattern. They're trying to get the Major League Baseball season started maybe June or July. There's all kinds of things, all kinds of different ideas of how to get more games in. There's even ideas out there of neutral site playoff stadiums if it goes into the fall and winter time. But right now, what has happened and what's transpired in the Major League Baseball world is they've gotten together, the Players Association, the owners, and have said that they're going to do some things to, I guess, acquiesce to the sign of the times right now. And one of them is a salary advance. The players are going to collectively get a $170 million advance spread over 2 months, and then the salaries will be prorated for the season, depending on how long it lasts. And they're still trying to figure out, like I said, we're all trying to figure out when we can go outside, but we're still, trying to figure out when the Major League Baseball season can start. But for now, the Major League Baseball they have decided to, get this salary advanced for the players. Now, I mean, it's a good idea,
right?
It's a good idea, and it does get the players, what they need. I mean, it's not like any of the Major League Baseball players are hurting right now. But another aspect of this agreement is service time. So let's say that if there is no 2020 season, the players will still get the service time for 2020. And if there are any free agents out there this season, there would still be if this was their last season before free agency, there would still be a free agent for the 2021 season. So that's an interesting aspect of this agreement. But Paul, you wanted to talk about this, and what is your take on this whole situation?
Well, I think it's good for billionaires and millionaires to come to agree on how they're going to get paid. And I think that the biggest thing, man, I mean, the biggest thing that stuck out to me was they just didn't want to look petty and have this thing just hanging over their head and not coming to a decision in the middle of this pandemic, because nobody, the folks that live paycheck to paycheck, they don't care how billionaires and millionaires are getting paid. They just want to know how their family's going to survive. And so I think the optics of them coming to this resolution as quickly as they did was paramount, because they didn't want to be the, major league, they didn't want to be the sports league that was bickering over billions of dollars. And so coming to that agreement was, I think, very, very paramount for the overall optic of Major League Baseball. But the biggest thing that stuck out was that service time. And I think that also lets the players know that the owners are willing to be a little bit flexible to say, look, even if we don't have a season, we'll still give you credit for it. And so that any kind of movement through personnel or free agency or movement, I think was the best thing in the interest of the player, because the owners aren't the guys out there training and swinging bats and throwing balls. It's the players who do it. So I think that was really cool for the owners to be a little bit flexible, and show a little vulnerability, so that, the best interests of the sport and the fans can be celebrated when we are, through this unprecedented times with this pandemic. So props to them, props to Major League Baseball for getting it done, and the two sides to work amicably so that they can have that resolution. So it was really cool to see that.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's a great point, Paul. I think that's what Major League Baseball doesn't want in the headlines is, we're not sure how we're going to pay how these billionaires are going to pay these millionaires. Right. And it's just like the more you put that out there, and the more that's a headline, on ESPN or CBS Sports or Fox Sports or NBC Sports or, any of the major sports networks, I guess less and less people are going to care about Major League Baseball. There's so many people out there that are struggling just to make some bills and wondering where their next paycheck's going to come from, and not only where, but when. So I think, Major League Baseball did a solid for their players, but ultimately for themselves in making this agreement so it doesn't sit there in the headlines. Basically, it's out there. People know what's going to happen, and then people are going to move on and, more concentrate and worry about when the season actually gets started, or if the season's actually going to get started. So shout out to Major League Baseball and getting this part all squared away. All right, Christ Market. Paul just got me the phone number, 512-398-2361. 512-398-2361 if you want to get some barbecue into your quarantine, some good Texas barbecue. I know there's barbecue out there, but if you want the best, hit up Christ Market and John Kalunga, 512-398-2361. It's available for pickup, and they're delivering as well, right, Paul?
Yeah, in Texas, 1-day delivery, out of state, 2-day delivery. And, they got packages too. Like, they got these packages. You can scroll on their website, ChristMarket.com. If you scroll all the way to the bottom, they got a college game day package. They got the Rick Schmidt, who is the father of Keith Schmidt. Rest in peace. They got his package. They got Keith Schmidt's package. They got multiple different packages with different combinations. So just check it out at Christ.com. Or if you know exactly what you want, you want a box of chorizo, just call them up, 512-398-2361, and get your order put in, and you can either stop by and get your fix, or they'll have it delivered straight to your door.
All right, there you go. So, contactless delivery, probably. They'll just leave it at the door, knock on it, and then take off running. All right, episode number 64, Chris Sanchez, Paul Rodriguez on the line, recon athlete. And Paul, you've been doing all right in your quarantine. So Paul, you work from home, so you're used to this, right? I mean, you've been working from home for a few years now, right?
So I was kind of, joking about all this stuff in the beginning, and it's because I live alone in my 2,000 square foot house. I live alone and I work from home, and I don't see anybody. Like I've been socially distancing before it was cool. And I've been self-isolating before anybody was talking about it. But yeah, man, I'm used to it. You know, for the agency that I work for in the state, you know, we've been very blessed to work from home and serve the citizens of Texas. And so it's really cool to kind of be a little bit ahead of the curve, but it's really cool that a lot of people are starting to get to work from home because, you know, with this pandemic, we're starting to have a lot of firsts. And with these firsts, I mean, I think this is a great way for, you know, agencies or small businesses or big businesses, you know, where, hey, you can save a little bit of money, you know, and send your workforce to the house and, you know, still be able to be productive.
Yeah. And, you know, this has been my first week actually working from home, and I've talked about it before with some coworkers, like, I can do a lot of stuff from home. And, you know, I've found that it's true, but it's not true in some aspects for me because we're just not set up to work from home completely. I did have to go into the office for a few hours yesterday to get a few things done. But there are a few things that I have to do at the office. But I think overall, yeah, I could definitely keep working from home. Of course, Maynard ISD just announced that we are closed until May 1st. I think Austin ISD is still April 13th is their date. I'm not sure what other surrounding school districts are. Paul, you got any update about Lockhart, or are they still just kind of waiting?
As far as I know, they're still closed until the 13th. I think that's kind of the standard right now across these counties. But you know, as far as this like quarantine and certain amount of days, like 15-day quarantine, you know, I'm not sure if it's going to stay this way, because right now the curve for cases being found is growing. It's escalating. And so I really wouldn't be surprised if school districts, you know, as these end periods are nearing, you know, the 13th of April or May 1st, as we get closer, they may just say, hey, you know, let's continue with the distance learning with kids going at home. Just yesterday, I'll say this, for Lockhart ISD, the teachers were having somewhat of a little parade through town and going, you know, to each child's door and dropping off schoolwork. And the reason why I found out about it is because I had Lockhart PD was like blocking off traffic for them, and I live near an intersection that has a large community, and so I was like, why are the police blocking my driveway? And so, but I looked out and I'm like, oh, there's people going to this neighborhood similar to a funeral procession where law enforcement would block off an intersection to allow the free movement of the vehicles. But it's really cool to see the distance learning and schools adapting to the situation. But, you know, I wouldn't be surprised, Chris, if schools just went ahead and closed for the rest of this year and, you know, figured out a way to, you know, continue to do their schoolwork. And, you know, I just feel bad, though. I really do feel bad for the senior class of 2020 because, in my opinion, they got shortchanged on the spring sports, and then they also got shortchanged on, you know, graduating, walking across that stage. It's one of those, you know, life achievements that, you know, everybody really gets to do, and I'm not sure if they're going to this year.
Yeah, I mean, you know, prom, graduation, you know, just that whole, I mean, last week of school if you're a senior, you know, they have project graduation for a lot of schools. There's just a lot of events, a lot of life events that happen your senior year in high school. And, you know, you gotta feel for all these seniors this year that are most likely going to miss out on it. I mean, I have to agree with you, Paul. I think eventually we're going to get to a point where they're going to go ahead and just cancel the rest of the school year. I mean, right now, I mean, you know, Maynard ISD has already said May 1st is the first time we can come back. You know, if you look at our school calendar, I think the 22nd or something like that is the last day of school. So, I mean, if anything, if it gets extended at all, Maynard ISDs won't come back until next school year, and hopefully we can come back then. Yeah, I do have to, you know, I will say that yes, I mean there are more and more cases that are being diagnosed, but I mean I also have to say on the other side of that there's just more tests now. We're able to test more people. more people are becoming diagnosed as positive with COVID-19 because we're testing more people. If the more people we test, obviously the more cases we're going to see. So, just everybody just be vigilant, keep your social distancing going on. Don't gather in big crowds. If you have to go to the grocery store or something like that, like I need some eggs for the rest of my quarantine time. So I might have to go to HEB or to a store tomorrow or Monday. But if I'm around a lot of people, first thing I do when I come home is take a shower, just get rid of the clothes that I have on, take a shower. That's one of the things that has been recommended, for healthcare workers when they go home from work. A lot of times they're just, all their clothes that they've been wearing, they throw them into, a little quarantine area, and then they immediately go take a shower. So I think that'd be a good idea for people that have to go out, especially all our essential workers. Everybody that's been just designated as essential and still has to go to work. That's always a good idea when you come home from work, is just go ahead and try to get as cleaned up as possible. Try to keep your living area clean, and just try to do everything you can to crush this curve, and hopefully we can get back to normal before we know it. So, but we'll see, Paul. I mean, like I said, Maynard ISD's, we're not planning on coming back until May 1st. And yeah, you got to shout out to all the seniors out there, man. I mean, there's just, I remember my senior year. It was a lot of fun that last semester. I mean, grades like froze. So, I mean, I wasn't slacking off.
Yeah, they did.
I wasn't slacking off, but, I was, maybe didn't study quite as much as I was used to. All right, Recon Athlete, episode number 64. Chris Sanchez, Paul Rodriguez on the line. Shout out to Snoop Daniel over in the green room. I want to shout out to all our service industry workers. There's if you're at home, if you're tired of eating your own home cooking, go online. There's all kinds of restaurants here in the Austin area that are doing to-go orders, delivery orders. Of course, Kreitz Market's doing their fair share. So try to help out our service industry and our restaurants out there. There's all kinds of GoFundMe's out there. I think I'm gonna start putting some, getting a list together, Paul. We'll start, putting out here on Recon Athlete, ways that the public can help during this COVID-19 pandemic. All of our neighbors and everything, so we can, just kind of get some information out there and use our platform for good. What do you think, Paul?
That's an awesome idea, man. That's awesome. And just real quick, I want to just give props out to all the emergency personnel, all the nurses, all the doctors, the grocery store workers, everybody who's out there in contact with the public. Props to you all. Props to the truck drivers. Props to the gasoline deliverers, the corner store, everybody who's out who's in harm's way, because you are in harm's way. Props to those individuals for allowing our nation to continue moving forward as we get through this, because without them, we wouldn't have the comforts that we have. And I just want to just take a moment to say thank you. And, we're blessed to have those individuals in our lives. My mom's side of the family, they're a majority of them are medical professionals, pharmacists, nurse practitioners, nurses. I just wanted to say thank you to them for putting their lives on the line, because, it's just great to have those kind of humans in the world with all the negativity in the world. Just wanted to say thank you to them.
Yeah. I mean, and that's great you said that, Paul, because everybody's, thinking about all our healthcare workers out there on the front lines. And, if you're out there and you're risking your life to help others, thank you so much from the bottom of our hearts here at Recon Athlete. And that's one of the things that I'm going to try to look up too is ways we can help from home. I mean, you can always donate to a lot of things. I know Sam Ellinger started a GoFundMe. Him and Trevor Lawrence kind of both have started something to help with COVID-19 pandemic, but we'll try to put some resources out there. And then, maybe if you need help yourself, we'll try to put some resources out there on Recon Athlete, and let's try to help out the community where we can. All right, Paul, before I let you go, I put this on my, let's just end on a light note. I put this out on my Facebook last night because yesterday was Friday, and we're still Lent time, still in the Lenten season. So I was eating fish, and I'm not sure if you saw it, but I was making a tuna fish sandwich, and I was like, oh man, I don't think I have any relish. But I looked at my fridge, and I was pleasantly surprised to find relish. So I was interested to hear. I got a lot of comments on this on my personal Facebook page. Relish in your tuna fish sandwich or nah, Paul Rodriguez?
If I'm bougie, yes. if I'm going normal, nah, because some people like it and some people don't. And it's actually funny you brought that up because last night my parents invited me over and they were like, "Hey, we made tuna fish sandwiches," and I'm like, "Okay." So I show up. And, my mom makes me a tuna fish sandwich. Yes, mama's boy makes me a tuna fish sandwich. Ain't afraid to admit it. But, man, and I took that first bite, and I'm like, oh, my God. I go, Mom, you're consistent. For my 36 years on this earth, it's always been the same. And, it's simple, Chris. It's just a little bit of mustard, mayo, tuna fish, and diced apples. And
okay.
I love it, bro. But if my mom is feeling, she's feeling a little extra, she throws in the relish and she throws in chopped celery, chopped pecans, and chopped apple. And bro, it gets down like that. But Papa Romeo, he ain't really feeling all that bouginess, so usually just stick to the tuna fish and the apple.
Tuna fish and apple. Okay, no hard boiled egg.
Papa Romeo don't like the boiled egg, Chris.
Okay.
But so, I like boiled egg in mine too.
Okay, so the Chris Sanchez recipe for tuna fish is hard boiled egg, relish, mayonnaise, salt and pepper. It's good, and I did get some comments. People were talking about. Shout out to Candace Ayala and shout out to Crystal Cisneros. They said they suggested. What was it? Apples, like you said.
Yeah.
And Crystal said grapes. So I've heard apples. I've heard grapes. Candace also said a buttery croissant would be good for tuna fish sandwich. To me, fruit in your tuna fish is a little bougie. Maybe relish is bougie. I don't know. I also heard. I also got diced pickles. Shout out to Sylvia for saying that, which is similar to relish, but just
if you're to pick.
Yeah. But the other debate that came out of this question was sweet or dill, and it was almost 50-50 when I went back to count. I mean, it was a very. You either really loved dill or you really loved sweet. You weren't on the fence about this. This is very polarizing, Paul. What if you're doing relish or pickles, sweet or dill?
Dill, easy, hard, easy, right? hard dill. Yeah, hard.
Yeah, that's what I say. I don't know. I can't do sweet pickles, man. It's just.
But I'll tell you this: like the fruit in the like the apple in the tuna fish, it balances the tartness from the mayo. And it just kind of makes a balanced bite for that tuna fish, bro. I'm just saying, and it gives you the little texture of the crunch, and I like a little texture. So, and I think that's just why I like it like that. Plus, Mama made it, and so I've grown up with it my whole life, and it was ice cold, and the bread was fresh, and I'm about to go give me another one, bro. They're so good.
Yeah, it's almost.
So good. But
it's almost lunchtime.
I know. I'm hungry.
All right, Recon Athlete, episode 64. Chris Sanchez, Paul Rodriguez on the line. We'll be doing this on Wednesday night, 8:00. Join us. Maybe we'll have some more recipes for you on Recon Athlete, episode number 65. Paul, thanks for taking the time. Hopefully one day we'll get you back in the Paddock Studios. We'll see. I know we're in shelter in place here in Travis County, so we'll all do our social distancing and do our part for, to crush this curve on this COVID-19. All right, Paul, we'll talk to you Wednesday. We're going to throw out some more stuff on Recon Athlete as far as resources and any deals out there. I know there's to-go deals going on across Austin area. So if you want to help out an Austin area restaurant, we'll put that information out there. And Paul Rodriguez, do your thing, brother.
Ladies and gentlemen, if y'all are enjoying the podcast, please like, subscribe, and comment down below. And everybody on YouTube, hit the bell. We gone.